Welcome to SveNFL.
What is up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Skiff Misara.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about football. Yeah, man. It's that time.
That's right.
Week 10's in the books. We're in the double digits now. Season's coming to a close. I had a bye week this week, but it was still successful. My Hurricanes lost.
I felt bad about
frustrating, fucking stupid game.
Yeah, I sat up and watched it. I was texting you the whole time. I was pulling for the U.
They should have won. It's like it was the game where Florida State was fucking up and Miami just
there for the
switch
taking.
Switch quarterbacks earlier. Fuck it, man. Let somebody throw the ball downfield, man. This shit was so annoying.
It was there for the taking, but they have been having some troubles with their starting quarterback, so they went with the rookie, and he just wasn't. Maybe he'll be better next year, but I just don't think he was ready.
The moment was too big for him, and they were like, all right, well, let's just run it right down the middle and then punt. That's so stupid. I don't want to talk about it. I was really angry and annoyed. It was just...
Well, on the flip
Dolphins
side...
didn't play at all.
On the flip side, my Georgia Bulldogs secured the SEC East championship by putting one on the... who do we play? Ole Miss.
Ole Miss?
Yeah, we played Ole Miss. 52-17. Let's go. What is this like? What is this? A Cowboys Giants game? All of a sudden?
I was just gonna say that.
So we set up our inevitable showdown in the SEC championship with Alabama, and we'll see how that goes in a couple weeks. But whatever.
Good luck.
It is what it is. Yeah, unfortunately, my Falcons did play this week. They're on a bye this week. I'm really looking forward to that. Week 10 of 2023 was officially Kickers Are People 2 week with a record 6 games in one weekend, ending in walk-off game-winning field goals. This has never happened
I didn't
before.
notice that. Wow.
Six games. Crazy.
Yeah, I did not know that.
It was also Swedish Father's Day weekend.
Mm-hmm. Happy Father's Day.
How was your Father's Day? Was it good?
It was good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Chilling?
My kids came in early in the morning and brought me breakfast, and I didn't know they were going to do that, so it was an actual surprise.
Right.
So that's always good.
As usual, my family didn't do shit. I made slow roasted bourbon-infused pulled pork in the crock pot and served it up on top of some seriously cheesy stone-cut grits. I'm telling you, we were living. It was fantastic.
Wow. Well, that's cool.
I mean, they gave me a present or something. About you. They gave me a present. They cooked a chocolate cake or something. But it's like, you know what? It's tough. It's tough out here for
for family that gets taken care of.
Yeah, they don't. Maybe I've spoiled them. They don't really know how to
appreciate.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, I don't know. I'm going to keep them for now, but we'll see how it goes.
we didn't bet this way. Keep the family.
Yeah.
We didn't bet this week like idiots. Even though
we should have though.
We just didn't have the time, and I feel bad. I feel stupid. But we did flip them and pick them.
We did, and you came out victorious by and large because you called the upset. You called the Browns, called the upset, so you won this week 9-7, which brings us to the. We are tight, son. Tight. 78-79. I have. So. Let's get right into it with the Thursday night instant classic. The 3-7 Bears not only took care of business against the 1-8 Panthers, but the Bears own the Panthers' first round pick next year because David Tepper just had to have Bryce Young. It's not often that a team gets the chance to play a team where winning the game increases your chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. So. Yeah. Good on you, Bears. Well done.
Yeah, well done, guys.
I mean,
Chicago Bears do it again.
The game started with some pop as Panthers punt returner Amir Smith-Marset took one 79 yards to the house for what turned out to be the Panthers' only touchdown of the game. Because in case you just tuned in, the Panthers' offense is trash. It's terrible. Bryce Young didn't throw any picks this week, but he also only went 21 for 38, 185 yards. That's bad. That's not good. It's just not. He's not. No. It's not working.
Do you think it's going to work out for him in the end?
It's hard to say. So based on what I saw of him in college, I would say the way you phrased the question, I would have to say yes. Is it possible for it to work out for him in the end? Yeah, I think so. I think he showed that he's talented enough. I don't really think that being that short
I never thought
is necessarily going to be a problem. I think it makes your job harder by being short, but we've seen short quarterbacks succeed. We're going to talk about Kyler Murray in a little bit, and I actually think, you can see a guy like that. It's possible. So yeah, with this team, no, I do not think it's possible for him to succeed.
Well, not this team.
No, I don't. I just mean this organization. I don't trust this organization. So if he could have just a terrible run and wind up somewhere else in a couple of years, yeah, sure. I think he could be fine.
I'm going to talk about that with another player.
On the other side, Tyson Bagent was just as bad, if not worse, going 20 for 33, 162 yards. Luckily for them, they were able to run the ball a little. Their only touchdown came from Deontay Foreman. But their real star of the game was their defense and their new signing Montez Sweat, who was in Bryce Young's he was in Bryce Young's face all night long.
All night.
Panthers had a chance to win the game late. They could have added to this kickers are people too weak, but they did not. Eddie Pinheiro came up short. Like a man with erectile dysfunction. And the game ended with a dud. It was a pretty long one, to be fair, but I think their kicker has had some problems in the past, but I don't know. This is a terrible game. Let's move on and talk about the other terrible game that happened.
Yeah, man.
Colts.
A shit bowl brought to you by Xlex.
Oh, baby. The Patriots. 10-6. Patriots flew all the way to Germany to kick 2 field goals and go 2-8. And they benched Mac Jones late in the fourth quarter after a dreadful performance. And then they asked Bailey Zappi to step in and pull off some kind of a game-winning drive, just out of his ass. Yeah. So naturally, he goes for the Dan Marino fake spike. Worked for Marino, right? What could possibly go wrong? Game-clenching interception, throwing into triple coverage, right into the waiting arms of Colts defenders.
Well, I'll take that.
This was an international shitball, straight up. This was terrible. Awful on every level. I think the only, Gardner Minshew makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Legitimately
you never
nervous.
know, yeah.
When he rolls out and he lets go of the ball, it as soon as the ball leaves his hand, it looks like a wounded duck.
It's not
a pretty pass.
It makes me think of Kevin Garnett. Anything is possible.
Yeah. It's not pretty. When the ball leaves his hand, that ball is oftentimes wobbling like a dead duck. But whatever. The Colts are a more functional team than the Patriots, clearly.
Man.
Both teams ran the ball pretty well. Ramondre Stevenson had a pretty good game. Zeke had some nice moments, surprisingly. And Jonathan Taylor, again, is just getting better and better every week.
Imagine if he would have started week 1.
I know.
Maybe take care of the guy.
He was all up in his feelings. And the team disrespected him. I think there's plenty of blame to go around there. I don't think I just think it's goofy. This is a ridiculous. I said before this started, the NFL probably wishes they could have taken this game back and not made this a Germany game. Obviously, they showed a lot of highlights during the game to sort of justify this game as being a legitimate rivalry, which was obviously during the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady days. But the only thing it did for me to see those highlights was to remind me that era is just completely dead. It's over. It's like,
I don't know if Belichick survives this season. I mean,
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. It's
6 points, man. You can't put together more than 6 points on a struggling. Oh, I guess the Colts are great. They were 4-5. You can't put more than 6 points on these guys. It's
looking dark over there. Real dark.
No team scored in the second and third quarter. It's ridiculous.
It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
Let's leave this game.
Please do.
Then we got a really exciting game.
Finally. Oh my God.
Really exciting. Add this to the CJ Stroud is amazing Rookie of the Year checklist here.
Yeah, and now people are starting to say, like, what if he's the MVP of the, like, just straight up MVP, which obviously is silly.
Stop it.
That's not going to happen. They're not going to. They're never going to give it to a rookie.
He's not playing. They might, but this ain't the year. I don't know. He's not better.
My big takeaway from this game is that the Bengals fucked around and found out with multiple failed opportunities to dismiss the Houston Texans. I mean, the Texans had no business winning this game. You had a crucial Tyler Boyd touchdown drop, plus back-to-back picks by Burrow, and they still managed. Yeah, and they still managed to tie the game, but they left too much time on the clock for CJ Stroud, who, as you suggested, in my opinion, continues to write the legend that is his first NFL season. In the clutch, this kid took his squad on a 6-play drive, ate up all the clock, and set up their new. And it was funny because we were sitting there. I was watching the game with Isak because Joanna had already gone to bed, and Saga has been. She was there on the sofa, but she had passed out. She was so tired. So Isak and I are sitting there watching, and he's like, and he brought up something that I hadn't thought of. He was like, who's going to kick the field goal? Because remember last week, Texas didn't have they had an injured kicker and they had their running back kicking field goals. I was like, oh shit, dude, I didn't even think of that. Turns out they went out and signed Danny Amendola during the week last week.
The wide receiver?
Danny, or maybe not Danny Amendola. Who's the other Amendola?
I saw Amendola. I was like, what?
Yeah. Is it Danny, or there's two Amendolas? One of them used to kick.
Obviously, it's the kicker. Yeah.
It's the one. I think it's the one who used to kick for the Jets. It's the one who almost hit me in the head with a fucking missed field goal when I went to go. Matt Amendola. He's the one who almost hit me in the head when I went to London to see the Jets Falcons game. So I was like, well, this guy can miss it, but he didn't miss. He hit it. He nailed it. 38-yarder, wins the game. I mean, both QBs obviously were kind of slinging it. Burrow threw for 347 yards. Stroud threw for 356. The big surprise for me, which I didn't see this coming, was Devin Singletary for the Texans. 30 carries for 150 yards and a touchdown. I think most people had written him off completely.
Yep.
Bengals.
But you see the difference. They ran the ball 32 times, 34 if you count Stroud. And the Bengals ran the ball 11 times with Joe Mixon, and that's it.
I think the Bengals, I think, I agree with that.
They were behind, though.
Well, but I think they kind of ran into a bit of a problem because they had a hot start to the game, right? Their first drive, which led to a touchdown, just looked like, oh shit, here we go. The Bengals are about to expose the Texans.
Yeah.
And then shout out to the Texans defense because they forced the Bengals to kick 5 straight punts, I think. I mean, there was nothing but punts for the rest of the first half, which allowed the Texans to climb back into this thing and basically take control. Suddenly the Bengals are playing catch up and the Texans just refused to blink. They were just like, we're just going to keep pace with you. And then we're going to beat you at the end. And that's what they did. So, but yeah, I guess you're not wrong. The Bengals do tend to give up on the run quickly.
That's what happens when you have a coach being carried by a quarterback.
Yeah, and you have a lot of shiny toys.
Shiny toys,
I mean, Jamar had a great game too.
But for only one player to attempt rushes, That means there was no sweeps, no end arounds. You didn't try much stuff at all. You didn't even try to do a fullback dive. Like nothing, man. It's like, where's the creativity? But, you know I'm anti Zach Taylor, so I'm biased.
That's fine. It's okay.
I'm pro somebody who tried to kick Zach Taylor's ass in the middle of a game, and that's Brian Flores. Shout out to the Vikings, huh?
How about this has to be one of the best stories of the year so far.
They should call them the Redemption Vikings or some shit like that.
I mean, well, obviously we're going to get to the Falcons game in a little bit. So, but I obviously needed. I root against the Saints because it's like, how do you always put it? I hate them with a passion that burns within.
Yes.
Something like that.
Deep passion that burns within. Yeah.
Correct. But also, like, just the Vikings are such a feel-good story, and Joshua Dobbs, again, as you suggested, out here making the Jets look dumb again.
Yeah.
They were boat racing the Saints in the first half of this game, 24-3 at the half, and then they let the Saints kind of crawl back into it for a little while.
Yeah. Are you on the Dobbs bandwagon?
Yeah, I love this guy. I think he's great.
I think I came up with a nickname for Dobbs fans.
Okay.
We're the Doptimists.
I see what you did there.
We're Dobstomistic.
Yeah.
We believe, man.
Yeah. You weren't the only one who came up with a nickname for Dobbs this weekend. He's like a rocket scientist from his college days.
Yeah.
Like, and he did some kind of a
he worked with NASA, right?
Some kind of a master's program with NASA. And NASA apparently released a tweet this weekend where they said that they were officially nicknaming him a Dobstronaut.
See, this is why they should leave that shit alone. Fucking nerds.
Nobody asked you nerds.
Nobody asked you nerds anything, man. Where's my wedgie?
Yeah.
I got the urge to give a wedgie.
Someone who will never be accused of being an astronaut, Derek Carr, got knocked the fuck out of this game.
Oh, yeah.
With like a back or a rib plus a concussion, or no, shoulder. I think it was a shoulder and a concussion.
Yeah, it was shoulder again
on a brutal hit. He got double smacked. He got hit from up top, down below, and down below. So Jameis came in. And Jameis Winston did exactly what Jameis Winston does. He threw two beautiful touchdown passes to get within striking distance, and then he threw back-to-back picks. I mean, that is literally the definition of, like, he is who we thought he was.
The Jameis Winston experience.
The only nice thing I can say about the Saints was that impossible touchdown grab by Olave. I mean, that was special in the back of the end zone. That was really, really, really nice.
Yeah, I was I felt like those the people at the end of that clip with White Shoes Johnson. Gotta give it to him. Give it to him. Give it to him. Yeah, but he really got it.
But in this case, it was a legitimate touchdown.
Yeah.
There was also bad news for the Saints coming out of this one. They left the game not only with an injury to Derek Carr, but also an injury to Michael Thomas, as well as somebody in the secondary who's really, I forget who it was, but they're going into their bye week, so that's good for them. And the other good news is that they get to play the Falcons when they come out of their bye week, so they should be fine.
Yeah.
Vikings, on the other hand, are the hottest team in the NFC and currently on a 5-game heater without Kirk Cousins, without Justin Jefferson, arguably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, who is now coming off of IR and likely to return next week.
Man, I read an article about Brian Flores and how frustrating he was for the team because he doesn't let up in practice. And Kirk Cousins was basically complaining about it. Like, man, I can't get the playoff because he's fucking sending exotic blitzes at me while we're trying to have practice here. And he's like, stronger together. That's what he's so intense. I can see it. I'm starting to understand, like, this dude might be too intense for people. And but it's made that team like better, man. The defense was the worst in the league last year. And now they're carrying the team a bit.
This is the same thing. Remember, Washington Commanders players were complaining about Eric Bieniemy for the same thing.
Yeah.
too intense. But maybe he's just fucking good at his job. Who knows?
He doesn't accept the mediocrity.
The interesting part about this is that, so obviously the Lions won on Sunday as well. But the big takeaway is that there suddenly appears to be very little room to slip up in the NFC North. Very little room. And that's because Dobbs is playing fantastic. And as we've been saying, this is definitely the best team he's ever played for.
Yeah.
So
easily.
I think it's kind of fascinating. I mean, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. Like you're trapped between thinking, well, yeah, he's a serviceable backup. But in a way, you can't help but wonder, are we witnessing evidence of this guy being a legit starter?
Finally getting a shot,
in a place that has the right environment. Like, I don't see that as being completely absurd. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's good to be Josh Dobbs right now.
Yeah, man. How is it to be Jordan Love?
Not good. Not so good. Not so good. Not so good.
He ran up against the Steelers.
He did. Who, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, I mean, they're just out here stacking wins. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Packers played better this week than they've been playing recently. Love did look a little feisty for the Packers, but the thing is that in those gotta have it moments, we got another QB throwing back-to-back picks at the end of the game. So he ain't.
Well, one team put the ball in the hands of their running backs.
Yeah,
Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris.
That's
both
exactly
had over 15 attempts, and then the other team put the ball in the hands of Jordan Love, who threw the ball 40 times.
You and I are on the same page. That's exactly what I was going to say. For me, the man of the match was the Steelers' run game. Najee with 82 yards and a touchdown. Jaylen Warren had 101 and a touchdown. I mean, he was like one of the few players of the week, because we always watch Red Zone. It just felt like every time he was one of those guys. It's just like those guys who can pop off the screen. It just felt like every time he got the rock, he was fucking just barreling dudes. And the Packers D had no answer for the run game, which is good for Mike Tomlin because Kenny Pickett was average as fuck. And continues to be average as fuck. So,
that's all he's got to do is not fuck it up. That's the difference in him and Trubisky. Trubisky's going to throw picks and fumble the ball and shit.
Fair point.
If they have Kenny Pickett just not fucking it up, then they'll handle it from there.
Fair point. Yeah.
The Titans, man. We go from one coach who's never had a losing season to another who's never had a losing season. And it looks like Mike Tomlin's going to keep the streak going, and Mike Vrabel is going to be over, right? Unless they have some crazy ending to the season, because they did not look good, man.
So let me get this straight. Will Levis plays lights out against the Falcons 3 weeks ago. Looks like the second coming of Dan Marino with a 400-plus yard, 4-touchdown game. Following week, he looks average to below average in a loss. And this week, he shows up like a 5-gallon bucket of hog shit, going 19 for 39, 199 yards, 0 touchdowns, and a pick in a 6-20 loss to the Buccaneers. It's almost like someone told you this dude was some juice that wasn't actually worth the squeeze. I don't know who that guy was.
Yeah. You saying he's fool's gold? No, nobody thinks he's gold either, right?
He hasn't even made it to the gold part. I cannot wait to get. I know what you're trying to tee up here, and I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it. The Bucs defense straight up murdered the run, holding Derrick Henry to only 24 total yards on 11 carries.
They should have kept running. I don't give a fuck, man.
I agree.
11 carries. Come on, man. They're stuffing it. All right. Maybe spread him out and put him in the single back. He's still a big dude. He's still fast. Like, try some different shit, man. Just because you're running doesn't mean it has to look like a run. I don't know, man.
And, White Gino was doing White Gino things, mostly.
White Gino, baby.
mostly with his black friends that makes him feel like he's not racist, obviously. Evans had 143 yards and a touchdown. Rachaad White, as I have mentioned, is getting better and better every week. He only had 51 yards rushing, but then he added 47 yards receiving.
Mike Evans also dropped a fucking touchdown.
He did, but he made up for it.
Yeah, he made up for it. He had a great game, but it was like, come on, man.
Unlike Tyler Boyd in that Bengals game, Mike Evans made up for it. But that was ugly. That was an ugly drop.
It was wide open. They had faked everybody out. Wide open. It was too open. He's like, I need more contested.
I know. I honestly don't know what else to say here other than that the Titans appear to be right back where they were prior to the switch to Levis, in my eyes.
Yeah, it might be time for Tannehill.
And then as far as the Bucs are concerned, I mean, it's the NFC South. It's like it's a clown car. It's just gonna keep it's just gonna keep flipping upside down every week, I think.
The NFC South and the AFC North are the two hardest to call.
That's true.
Is it racist if we stop calling him Black Gino and we start calling him Friar Mayfield? Yeah, a little racist.
Maybe.
Speaking of fried, the Jacksonville Jaguars got that ass whooped with everybody wondering about those preseason predictions of Trevor Lawrence finally being a MVP candidate. Goes up in flames.
I hear a lot of people not only, sort of calling that aspect into question, but I've also this week heard a lot of takes where people are finally starting to go, I'm sorry, but in what way is this guy a generational talent? I mean, I agree. He's a good quarterback. However,
they got to stop saying it.
We were sold this idea that he was a generational talent, and I'm sorry, but
what about him?
I need to see a little more.
I say it every week, man. He throws a great cover 2 beater, but that's about it, man. He can run. He's mobile. He's nifty and all that stuff, but it's nothing generational about him.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, man, he just looks like a emaciated Fabio.
Okay, you know what we call him at our house?
What?
Sarah Jessica Parker.
That's so good. We gotta do a blooper reel with the music too. From Sex and the City.
Okay, some important business that I want to take care of for 1 week and 1 week only. Mm-hmm. I would like to try to be the bigger man and apologize to Kyle Shanahan, who I claimed should be on upset watch traveling down to Duval County. Mm-hmm. Apparently Shanahan didn't even need to set his alarm clock for this game because the 49ers just absolutely just beat him with a stick. I mean, in addition to Chase Young on the edge paired with his former college teammate Nick Bosa, it's fair to say that move appears to have worked out pretty well.
Another midseason move.
49ers D sacked T-Law 5 times in this game.
Who'd they do midseason last year?
McCaffrey.
Yeah. These guys, man.
I mean, nothing was better than that image of having Chase Young on one side, Nick Bosa on the other. Mm-hmm. The ball gets snapped,
meet at the quarterback.
And they meet at the quarterback and cause the fumble. It was just okay, I guess that's going to work. They caused T-Law to throw 2 picks. They forced that fumble. And they also held him to only 59 total rushing yards, which, I mean, it was just a dominant performance. And for Purdy, obviously, Purdy looked much better than he has in the past few weeks.
Got Debo back.
Debo was balling. It was great. McCaffrey had a good game. He didn't score.
I felt bad for McCaffrey. They were trying so hard.
They were
trying so hard to get him in. And I forgot to put him in my lineup in fantasy, and I lost by like half a point.
Here's my apology to Kyle Shanahan still stands. Mm-hmm. However, And I'm not saying I don't understand that you want to get that McCaffrey wants to get the record and all that kind of stuff, but you are blowing out the Jaguars. Why? Again, you were literally putting one of your best players in harm's way.
That's his thing, bro.
In a 34-3 victory, in order to get this man.
Blame video games, bro. Blame the video games. He grew up playing video games. He thinks he's playing them now, but it's actual players. Somebody tell this man.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it anymore, or I'll take back my apology. Let's move on to the next game.
The upset that I called.
I
called it. Shout out to Kim Patera.
So upset.
I knew it was going to happen, man. We could call this the Deshaun Watson redemption game. No, just kidding. But he didn't lose it. Deshaun Watson played well, not going to lie.
Well, this was the Cleveland Browns redemption game. The Baltimore Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they packed up and left and moved to Baltimore to become the Baltimore Ravens, just leaving the whole city of Cleveland in the lurch. So this current iteration of the Cleveland Browns, I guess maybe some of you know this, maybe you don't. It's technically an expansion franchise. I don't remember what year they started, but yeah. I mean, the Ravens showed up this Sunday with what turned out to be like a vintage Falcons disease type performance. And by that, I mean getting a lead, looking like they're going to blow out a team, only to slowly just let it slip through their fingers.
May I interject and say that it's a Ravens performance?
That's true, but I mean,
this year and last year, like they were known last year. That was their thing. That was their calling card last year, is losing leads. And it all started with that Dolphins game.
We talked about this last year, that there's three teams. There's the Vikings, the Ravens, and the Falcons, who all seem to have the same virus that allows them to just let games slip through their fingers. Yeah. Because this game started like gangbusters as Kyle Hamilton pick six on Deshaun Watson's first pass attempt of the game. It
was tipped.
Yeah, but he tipped it. Kyle Hamilton tipped it to himself.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
He jumped up, batted it, caught it, and took it to the house. End of the first quarter, the Ravens were up 17-3, cruising. And even late, when they scored to go up 31-17, I'm thinking, this shit is over. But Watson puts together a quick 6-play drive, scores a touchdown. 2 plays later, Lamar throws a pick six. And the Browns all of a sudden have a chance to tie the game. The kicker missed the extra point, but it didn't matter because they got the ball back after a Ravens punt and put together a 12-play drive, ate all the clock, and kicked a last-second field goal. This is like a terrible loss for the Ravens. They had no business losing this football game.
It's crazy that Lamar was throwing the ball at that time, too. I guess he was trying to get the first down, but I don't know, man. I couldn't believe it. I had already tuned out, like, oh, this one's over. I thought there was going to be an upset, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, whoa. I was in the group chat. Those people that don't know about our Facebook group, we have a SveNFL Pod group on Facebook, and we have an actual messenger chat. It's been fun chatting with our listeners as watch the game. And I was pretending that I knew all along this was going to happen.
This game, there's no way you could. I get that you called it, but there's no fucking way. This game turned on its head so quickly. Yeah, late. I mean,
then the missed extra point, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it's gonna be one that they squeak out, and they're like, look back, like, whew, we got to keep our leads better. But now they're looking back, like, damn, we lost.
I mean, in a week where obviously the Browns win because they won this game, but Steelers also won. Again, this AFC North division, like, don't act like you got it figured out yet. Like, because it's like, I mean, like, I'm still convinced that the Bengals might have a chance. I mean, I can tell you this: next week's Thursday night football, Bengals, Ravens, that might be the biggest game of the year to decide. I mean, that game is definitely going to have some major impact on who wins this division.
And Lou lost a bit of his magic, man. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's true.
That's supposed to be Lou's calling card is to shut teams down in the second half.
Didn't happen.
No.
Speaking of teams that can't shut somebody down in the second half, let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons, who lost. Damn. Okay, here's we did it. Okay, the trifecta of fuckery. 3 weeks ago, we lose to a rookie quarterback in his first ever NFL start. Then we lose to a QB who doesn't even know his players' names or the playbook. Yeah. Then we top it all off, losing to a 1-8 team playing Kyler Murray, who has not played in almost a year due to an ACL injury. I would like to be the first to congratulate the Falcons for having pulled off this impossible trilogy of bullshit. That being said, now that you've done it, okay? Now that you have produced this masterful trilogy, as a fan, just stop. Stop. Can you please just stop doing this? Like, go into your bye week, figure out a way to stop it, and just fucking stop.
You got Arthur Smith, though, so they'll figure it out.
Exactly. And, of course...
I know of our friend, Ken, friend of the pod, Falcons fan, and he's just like, done with Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I know.
Are you done with Arthur Smith?
Oh, 100%. You're
done? Okay.
I've been corresponding with Ken.
Okay.
Every once in a while, I pop into Facebook, and I think the algorithm knows that Ken and I are born to suffer this franchise. Yeah. So the like a lot of times when I pull up Facebook on a Monday, the first thing I see is what Ken wrote. Oddly enough, like it's like it knows, it knows that that's what I'm looking for.
Misery Monday.
Yeah, for the Cardinals, I thought Kyler looked pretty good in his first game back. And his deep ball is much more impressive than I think most people give him credit for, especially considering how short he is. Baby Yoda was slinging it. And that tight end, Trey McBride, being his primary recipient with 131 yards. I mean, naturally, Kyler is out here scrambling, and naturally the Falcons can't tackle him.
Was that deep throw an offensive pass interference? Trey McBride caught?
Maybe.
He kind of threw the guy. It was underthrown. He kind of throws the guy back and then and catches the ball.
Maybe, but I mean, I'm not out here wishing. One, it wasn't any worse than the one that should have been called against D-Hop when we played the Titans, where D-Hop had AJ Terrell in like an actual headlock. If that's not offensive pass interference, I don't know what the fuck is. But the Falcons and Arthur Smith, I mean, I'll say this: he appears to have gotten the message that if you don't use Bijan Robinson, I mean, we as an angry mob are coming to chop off your balls and shave this ridiculous mustache of yours, because Bijan looked really good. 22 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Heineke was terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. 8 for 15, only 55 yards passing. Leaves the game with a hamstring injury. And given his rather mediocre performance, I can only assume that Ritter is probably going to get a second chance to
94 passing yards between the two of them.
Yeah. I mean, he came in very late, Ritter.
Yeah.
He wasn't great. He did score the go-ahead. I mean, he scored what could have been the game-winning touchdown. He scored what could have been the game-winning touchdown had our defense been able to stop anyone. But we left Kyler too much time and too much space. And just like last week, we let a quarterback who we had dead to rights in the backfield, we let him get away and score or get he didn't just get the first down on the third long. He got into like field goal range. And then yet again,
17's got to contain, man. He's got to contain. He panicked and he went right at him. It's still Kyler Murray, man. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, and not only that, like you would think, I don't know. Maybe at that point you're playing prevent and defense and you can't afford to put a spy on Kyler Murray, but I don't know. And I guess maybe I understand that it's been a while since we've seen Kyler, but it's like I feel like you always have to spy a guy like like Kyler Murray. I mean, he's so.
Or if you're not spying, you know that we don't have a spy. Maybe I'll contain. Maybe I won't rush so hard that I break contain and get him laying out of the way.
It's the same mistake we made last week with Joshua Dobbs. Disappointing loss. I didn't really allow myself to get too emotionally sucked into it because I'm not sure I have any emotions left that I'm willing to give. So I'm kind of at that point in the season where I'm happy for a win. I'm not going to be like, weird about it, but I'm also, my expectations are at in the basement more or less. So I'm just like, I'm not allowing you to hurt me anymore. And then I'm like just really enjoying having, when you probably know, you go through, you pick second teams. Like, what's another team that I really like watching? And for me, I got to say the Detroit Lions fall into that category. They're so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
This game with the Chargers, oh my God, this was the barn burner of the week. You had, okay, first of all, Lions win the game 41-38, but there were 79 total points scored in this game. Plus, 79 total points, plus 954 total yards gained between these two teams. This was not a good game if you care about defense.
Nah.
At all.
At first, at the beginning of the game, I was like, ooh, is it over for Herbert type of thing? You know what I mean? He was looking bad at first, but then he got settled, and he started slinging that thing, man.
And the drive chart for this game is amazing. I usually only read this when it's bad because it's funny.
Punt, fumble, punt.
Right.
Yeah.
But this one is pretty dope too. I mean, if you just read the drive chart, it's like it tells you how this game went. It's punt, field goal, touchdown, interception, turnover on downs, punt, touchdown, punt, touchdown, game-winning field goal. That's insane. That is a crazy football game. Crazy.
Yeah. That's like red zone is not leaving you.
Oh no! It felt like they just constantly cutting back. For me, the Lions' plan to split carries between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery was something that I was interested to see going into this game, especially since my coach, Arthur Smith, is so terrible at this with the Falcons. Gibbs had 14 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Montgomery had 12 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that big breakaway, 70-something yards.
Yeah, most of those yards came from the 75-yard touchdown run. So it's safe to say that this is, I mean, if this is going to be the 1-2 punch, I think this is what they were hoping for all year long. I think the Lions are going to be just fine. I guess you could say the run.
Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like they are pretty loaded.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't be giving up 38 points, but if you're going to score 41.
For me, the run game was the biggest difference in this game because the Chargers couldn't. I mean, Eckler had 67 yards and a touchdown, but as a team, they were held to under 100 yards in total. For the Chargers, it was all about Keenan Allen. This dude was balling 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. But like you said, his counterpart kept up with him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 156 yards and a touchdown. So ultimately, this looked like one of those games. Like whoever had the ball last was probably going to win it. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. And
I think this is one of those games that whoever doesn't have Brandon Staley is going to win it.
True. And also, like, shout out to Dan Campbell. I heard a story yesterday on that final drive where they went 9 plays, 3 minutes and 34 seconds. They went 9 plays to set up for the game-winning field goal. On that drive, there was a 4th and 1 play where they were already they were in field goal range, and the Lions went for it and got it. And when they asked Dan Campbell after the game, he said, "You know what? I don't remember. I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He basically said the defense was gassed. there was if we kicked a field goal right there, we just didn't want to ask our defense to have to stop. It was one of those games where the ball was just whoever was going to, like I said, whoever wound up with the ball last was going to win this football game. And he said, I wanted that to be us. I knew it was a risk, but I thought it was the right call at the time, and it worked out. So I thought that was pretty fucking ballsy and very smart on his part.
And then in the best game of the week, the the Cowboys continued like where they left off and beat the shit out of the Giants, who are just, I mean, nobody expected anything from the Giants.
What did I say? Cowboys were favored by 16.5 before the game started. I said, It's not it's not enough. No. Not even close. It's 49-17. I mean, this is like it's a college football score.
Yeah. Ass whooping. I don't have much to say about it. It was like an undermatched team, it's all beat up. Tommy DeVito lives with his mom. We found that out. And I kind of felt bad for the commentators that had to sit through it.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say, man. The Cowboys beat up on a bad team again. They're the NFC's Dolphins. I
agree. I basically learned nothing from watching this game that I didn't already know. The Cowboys, they can embarrass bad teams, and the Giants are dreadful. And I still think are probably a lock to get the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Then we got the Seahawks squeaking out a victory over the Commanders.
Yeah.
Who are kind of hanging in there at 4-6, man, in the NFC. But the Seahawks are right at the heels of the 49ers, so the 49ers can't really slip up. Black Baker. It was all right, man. Did a good job. 31-47, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, this was another one of those walk-off field goal games. It started out looking like a shit bowl in the beginning, but then it turned into a slugfest. These two teams were playing hard, banging bodies. It looked cold up there in Seattle. At the half, it's tied 9-9. And both quarterbacks came out of the half and just started going for it. Both quarterbacks played pretty good. Sam Howell, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Geno, as you suggested, played really well. I thought for sure it was going to go to overtime when the Commanders tied it up with less than a minute to play. But Geno, honestly, he hasn't had quite the year that he had last year. But he in this final drive, he just said, "Fuck it, I'm going to go win this football game." And just he has those moments where some of those passes, him too, with that cover 2 beater, when he's on it, is gorgeous. Brian Robinson for the Commanders, he didn't rush for very many yards, but he did catch 6 passes for 119 yards, one of which was a 51-yard catch and run that led to a touchdown. On the other side, DK Metcalf had a nice day, which hasn't been happening a lot this year. He's quietly been really average.
Only 3 sacks?
Same thing with Tyler Lockett, too. Yeah, only 3 sacks.
Yeah.
You're right about the Seahawks sort of hanging in there. I don't know.
I didn't see them being 6-3 now.
Yeah.
Call that.
They don't pass the eye test for me, too. To me, they look like a team that's just waiting to collapse in the second half of the season.
Yep.
I could be wrong. And I don't wish for that to be the case. But I'm not. Yeah.
Not sold.
I'm not seeing it.
Are you sold on the Jets?
No. I mean, if I happen to find myself in ownership of the Jets, I would sell them, if that's what you mean. I mean, stop me when you've heard this one before. Down by 4 with just under 5 minutes to play, the Jets put together a long clock-eating 11-play drive to win the game, but Zach Wilson throws a pick in the clutch when they could have had Joshua Dobbs in there snatching the victory from their opponent who managed to put up only 16 points on the board. This was a terrible football game.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs is the only one who deserves any real praise as far as the offense is concerned. The guy is just, again, he's one of those guys that's just been quietly week after week getting a lot better. 27 carries for 116 yards.
You think he hated Josh McDaniels?
Oh my God, he might have hated him the most, probably. They even asked him at one point. Someone asked him. He gave a very honest. Some reporter asked him when Josh McDaniels was still there. He's like, "Oh, what do you think you need to do to fix the offense?" And his response was, "It's not my job to fix the offense."
Well,
I wonder who he was talking about. It's pretty funny.
You think he'll be a head coach again?
No. Never, ever. Just like Urban Meyer, him and Urban Meyer, never, ever.
Oh yeah, good one.
He could probably go get a college job, Josh McDaniels, if he wants.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
there's so. Oh, are you kidding me? There's so many vacancies every year. He would definitely be able to get a college job easy if he wants to do that.
Might be better. As long as the players don't mention the Patriots. But they'll be too young to know about them.
Exactly. He'd be like, "Sit down, children. Let me tell you
in my day.
Let me tell you about the New England Patriots."
Let me explain the Tuck rule. Then the final game that I watched this morning, to my elation and surprise, the Broncos, who earlier this year got beat by a certain team, 70-10, managed to beat one of the top teams in the AFC. Again, they beat a top team. First the Chiefs, and now, which makes sense because it's a rivalry game. You never know. But then Buffalo, for some reason, I don't know who to blame it on. I don't know if there's any type of precious metal that's out there that I could attribute to the talents of the quarterback. I don't know if I'm looking out there, and it looks like it could be gold. But then when you get closer, and he throws another fucking late outside pick, and then you realize it's just fool's gold, and the Bills are 5-5 with a top 3 quarterback, according to a lot of people's opinion. But I feel like if you keep throwing more interceptions than touchdowns, and the most interceptions since you came into the league, you're probably not a top 3 quarterback. And on the flip side, the decimated defense is out here looking at Grandpa Wilson from Dennis the Men, no, from Home Improvement. Wilson from Castaway.
Right.
Is out here.
Just a volleyball with a face paint.
Just a volleyball with face paint. Throwing 193 yards on 24 of 29, 2 touchdowns. And he was like kind of old school Wilson. Old school in the fact that he was rotating the wrong way, running into a sack every 13th drop back, and then also scrambling to the outside and creating, throwing the ball, flipping it to somebody. Most of their big plays were like that, where he just creating and flipped the ball out to somebody who's waiting because it seems like he forgot how to read defense anyway. So, fucking, I'm so happy that I'm almost speechless. I'm a little mad that I let you talk me into picking Buffalo to win the division, but now you should see what I meant by their windows closed, because I think it's official, man.
Yeah.
I think their window's closed.
I mean, as you suggested, I think there are a million things you could point to regarding the Bills and how they lost this game. And I just thought it was kind of interesting how they put in a performance like this, and very rarely do you see them put the cherry on top at the very end the way the Bills did by putting 12 men on the field as the Broncos kicker Will Lutz misses the game-winning field goal. Penalty gives the Broncos a second chance, and then Lutz drills it for the win. I mean, to me, that's like that. To me, again, that is another example of losing as an art form. They lost this game so artfully. with the cherry on top at the end and everything. It was poor Bills fans. It just, what are you gonna do?
There's a guy we both know, and I think we both like this guy a lot. One Richard Sherman, former Seattle Seahawk and San Francisco 49er cornerback.
Let me guess.
The Legion of Boom.
Let me guess. He had a take.
Yeah. Richard Sherman had a take. He tweeted last night, "The Josh Allen conversation needs to be had. It's getting out of hand."
Wow.
And I've been on it, bro. I've been on it, man. I'm so tired of being right about this shit.
Do you know what his touchdown to interception ratio is right now? It's probably bad, isn't it? It's got to be.
This year or?
Yeah, this year.
I'll look it up, man.
It's got to be bad. While you're
Josh Allen, the good one or the quarterback?
While you're looking it up, I'll say this: as far as the Broncos are concerned, this is a team that started the year 0-3, and ever since we all wrote them off after dropping 70 points to the Dolphins, this team has suddenly become competitive. They're still not a good football team, but they hang around, and like this, in a game like this, they are finding a way to become a part of this very large AFC middle class with a 4-5 record. There's a lot of teams that are in that position in the AFC.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that means they're going to get a wild card spot? Maybe, probably not, but it's possible. I mean, it's there. It's there. I mean, all these other teams are fucking tripping up.
And all of this Nathaniel Hackett pendulum swing pushback and all of that stuff. Sean Payton doesn't look like as much of an asshole. It looks like he's riding the ship slowly.
He's still an asshole.
We should say this in air traffic. Big ships turn slow, man.
That's true. He's still an asshole, to be fair. That being said,
I agree, yeah. Obviously.
I never thought under any circumstances that Sean Payton was a worse coach than Nathaniel Hackett.
Right. People try to act like that. They tried to act like that.
I just thought it would take some more time. Like you said, it's a good metaphor. Big ships turn slowly. That's a good way to put it.
Josh Allen's statistics: 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Quarterback rating or QBR 72.1. 72.1 is fourth in the league, so it's not terrible stats, but 11 interceptions is a lot, I think. That's more than one a game.
If you throw in the fumbles too, you probably get even closer. Interesting. So, Bills are in a tailspin. No doubt about it.
Do you think they could turn it around? Some people are saying that they might need a new coach.
I do. No, I don't. If I had to guess, if I had to flip a coin and guess, can they turn it around? Yes or no? I'm saying no.
Really?
I think the pressure's too much. Yeah.
I think they could turn it around.
Of course,
all they need is because the Dolphins could lose to anybody.
Of course, I think they could, but I'm guessing. I guess what I should say is that I'm guessing that they won't. My guess is that they won't turn it around. Yes, they can, but my guess is that they will not.
Okay.
But then again, I'm a pessimist. So, what do you want from me?
What do you want from me? I can't find his fumble. Oh, he's got. He lost 3 fumbles this year.
That's not so bad.
So that's 14 turnovers, 19 touchdowns.
It's not good.
Yeah. Just throwing it out there, man. Josh Allen fans out there. Love it.
Fool's gold.
So that was I said it, man. Everybody act like I was crazy. Fool's gold. I'm getting into the superlatives now. My MVP of the week, probably no surprise here, it's Josh Dobbs. besides probably being the happiest guy in the league with the most improved situations, Josh Dobbs, who's made me a Dobstimist, is also he's made me very Dobstimistic. Is sitting pretty with the luxury of tempered expectations and a top wide receiver coming back to join him on his quest for supremacy. He had that crazy win last week, but that was just a fluke, right? It didn't matter to Josh. Granted, the defense held up their end of the bargain, and the Saints lost their starting quarterback, but Dobbs once again did his thing. There were points in this game where he just took over. If you watch it, you see it. He certainly can't know the playbook 100% yet, being there only a week, and he just figured it out and put together a 23 for 34, 268-yard, 1-touchdown performance. He got some huge third-down conversions with his legs and arms on the move, and his team is starting to believe in him. You can see it if you look at the sidelines. Would they have won without him? I don't know, but I guarantee you Viking fans don't want to find out. For that reason, Josh Dobbs.
You the real MVP.
That's pretty good. I like that. For me,
You like that? You like that?
he does like that. For me, for MVP, I'm going to go with the combination of CJ Stroud and his first-year head coach, DeMeco Ryans. The obvious justification, would see me pointing to the stat sheet, but I feel like we do enough of that on this podcast. And let's face it, numbers don't always tell the whole story. So why am I giving them the MVP? I'm glad you asked, John. I'm giving it to them because they are giving this broken and depressed fan base a reason to hope. And while hope, clearly a dangerous thing, I mean, I personally would take that over this like certain doom and despair that my Falcons are currently serving up. I mean, for DeMeco Ryans to show up and grab the reins of this team in his first year and put a team and a game plan together that has one of the most historically dysfunctional and irrelevant teams playing solid, sound, sexy football. Shout out to alliteration, y'all. All I can say is color me impressed. I knew that Stroud was the real deal. I've been saying this since before the draft, but what I didn't know was that DeMeco Ryans would be able to maximize his talent as well as he has. So for all of the sake of hope and goodness in the world, CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans, that is my Week 10 MVP.
You the real MVP.
Who's your trash?
My trash, I'm sorry, Bill Belichick, but I got to go Patriots on this one.
Ooh.
To fly all the way over to Germany and only manage to kick 2 field goals. I mean, what are we doing here? Part of me does really enjoy watching this empire crumble to the ground before our very eyes. I still feel
talking about America?
Oh my talking about the Patriots. I do still feel the hurt from that Super Bowl loss like it was yesterday, but I can't blame Bill for that, especially since the man was just doing his job, unlike Kyle Shanahan on that particular night, who did not do his job. But this isn't about him. This is about the Patriots, who at the moment are now in contention to finish as the worst team in the NFL. I personally think
don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
I think it might be time to tear it all down and start over from scratch. I for one, hope that Bill gets a chance to break the coaching wins record. But I kind of hope he can do it, or at least find a way to do it for another team, especially given that Belichick is 18 wins behind George Halas, 28 wins behind Don Shula. At this rate, it'll take him like 10 to 15 years to break the record. I mean, he'll be like Weekend at Bernie's dead as a doornail propped up on the sidelines if he's going to try to break this record with the Patriots. I mean, it's not going to happen because that team is a hot burning pile of stinky trash. Like, bad.
You are trash!
What if he gets, because they're going to fire Brandon Staley. What if Belichick goes there?
Woo! I didn't even think about that.
What if they get Belichick over in LA, man?
Can you imagine Belichick
going against Andy Reid twice a year?
Belichick with that roster.
That defense too, man.
This is an interesting thought experiment.
Bosa, fucking,
who else?
Derwin James, Bosa. Oh, who else? Raiders.
Oh, you know the other rumor that I heard this week, actually, now that you mention it, was Belichick winding up with the Bucks.
Hmm.
I heard that as a rumor.
Yeah.
Washington
I think
too.
Todd Bowles is doing what he can there. Washington's a good one.
I heard Washington is another rumor as well.
Carolina, he probably wouldn't want to deal with Tepper.
He doesn't want to go there. Can you imagine him and David Tepper in a room together? They would kill each other. Yeah. I think you're right. I think the Chargers would be the best spot.
Yeah, it's the best.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, man. Little food for thought. My trash is AFC East quarterbacks not named Tua Tagovailoa. What is happening in the AFC East? Before the season, we were saying strongest division in football, possibly. You know, the only quarterback that had the question mark was like, I don't know, 2 years ago, we thought Mac was the heir apparent of Tom Brady. They lucked out. They did a Packers type of thing. And then it was wait and see for Zach Wilson. Who knows? You know what I mean? And Tua. We'll wait and see for him, too. That was 2 years ago. While Josh Allen, he was lined up to be possible MVP every year. We had anointed this guy a top 3 quarterback. The AFC East was supposed to be the scary juggernaut division when the season started. We even talked about the possibility of having all 4 teams make the playoffs. And then this weekend happened. And we saw Mac Jones get benched. We saw Zach Wilson throw another game-losing pick. And we saw Josh Allen try to do hero ball and lose another game where his team is the huge favorite. It's starting to look like the only trusty, dependable quarterback in the AFC East is the much maligned. We'll see if he stays healthy, Tua Tagovailoa, who's doing this thing. So everybody besides Tua in the AFC East.
You are trash!
Wow, look at you crawling up in your bag. I love it.
Yeah, man. I love it.
That's funny.
My shit got learned this week is Goff is that dude, bro. Goff is that dude, man. I remember when Brian Flores first took over the Dolphins. And I remember the Dolphins were shit, and everybody said it was going to be the worst roster ever. And he started bringing people off the street, and then they started turning it around. The first team that Miami went against and embarrassed was the LA Rams. Was it LA? The Rams. Mm-hmm. And it was Goff. And everybody thought that was the beginning of the exposure of this guy who's never going to cut it. Only got the job because he's handsome and looks like Ryan Gosling. And he was kicked out of there. Sean McVay seemed annoyed. He got Stafford, fell in love with Stafford, wins the Super Bowl. And Goff is just this castaway player that's not going to do shit but go off into the sunset and have a mediocre career. Then he meets and gets hooked up with Ben Johnson, who's from no coaching tree, just this amazing offensive coordinator that's probably going to be a head coach whenever he's ready. Turned down coaching jobs in the offseason just to keep fucking with Goff. And now Goff is a top 10 quarterback in the league, man. Quietly doing his thing, not shiny. The best thing I've seen him do is go and undercover at a college and pretend to be some walk-on quarterback and scare the shit out of everybody. Hilarious.
That was good.
And now he's doing it in the league, one of the top offenses in the league, and it's probably going to be deep into the playoffs, somebody who we cast aside, and is looking like a top quarterback, man. Shout out to Goff, man. I learned that this dude is for real.
Wow. It's a great point, and what an amazing story that would be, him getting cast off to the lowly Lions in exchange for Matthew Stafford, labeled as the quarterback who could never win he's not going to win the Super Bowl. Stafford wins with the Rams, and then if he could turn around and put something together for these Lions, and I mean, what is it? They haven't won a playoff game since 1991, the Rams?
90, something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And another thing I want to add is they're not. It's not talked about enough. The Rams are struggling right now because they basically bought that Super Bowl.
Oh,
it's not just that they got rid of Goff. They brought in Stafford and they bought a bunch of players, and now they're suffering from it. And the Lions built it from scratch, and it's starting to come together. So I'm glad that they trusted Goff, and he never turned his back on them. And it's working out, man. Shout out to him.
Great point. My shit got learned. We have been hinting at this for a few weeks, or more than hinting at it. But I think I'm with you, and I think it's time to call it. The shit that I learned this week is that the Bills' Super Bowl window is like certifiably closed. That 13-second game followed by the next year losing at home to a good Bengals team. You put all those expectations on top of them that have been piling up for the last 3 years, just building and building. It feels like the Bills are now falling off a cliff toward an inevitable collision course regarding both the coaching staff and the roster. I would put Sean McDermott on the hot seat next year because of this season so far, assuming they don't turn it around. Gabe Davis is gone for sure, but I also would not expect to see Stephon Diggs in a Bills uniform next year. And all those defensive players who are supposed to make this team great will also likely be playing elsewhere. I looked this up. I'm not going to list all their names because there's too many of them, but according to Over the Cap, a extremely significant number of their best defensive players are all slated to become unrestricted free agents in the offseason this year. I'm sorry, Bills fans, but I think it's over. I think the window is closed. I think you got trapped outside in the cold, no shirt, surrounded by broken tables, a broken team, and most certainly a broken heart.
Damn. They're the one fan base that deserves a fucking Super Bowl, man. Oh, well.
Yeah. Sorry.
Fuck them. Because fuck them. That's why. All right. Best AFC. Scariest AFC team. I got to go back to the Chiefs, man. After seeing this whole gauntlet of games, Ravens slipping up, Browns getting some traction, Bengals slipping up. Dolphins didn't play, Chiefs didn't play, but the Chiefs have beat the Dolphins last time they both took the field. So I got to say the scariest team's the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. They have an absolute barn burner of a game waiting for them out of the bye week, a Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles. You win that game, and you are definitely the scariest team in the AFC for sure. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
NFC team, I got to go with the Lions, man. They look complete. I shouldn't say complete. They gave up a lot of points, but they look like they're a good team. There was a lot of points against the Chargers, who do have a dynamic offense and a shitty coach. So, yeah, man, Lions.
For me, it's probably the Eagles getting healthy on a bye. But I think I could also say the 49ers. I mean, they dropped 3 straight, and then they come out of their bye, and they just pants the Jaguars. It looks like they got right. And, again, like you said, big-time mid-season trade to shore up that defense.
Oh, yeah, good point.
For me, I think I want to say the Lions, but I'm a little the Lions have had some weeks where it's like, wow, the Lions defense is really good this year, and then it's like
they got that ass whooped when they ran up against the Ravens, so that's true.
Yeah, so it's their defense feels a little too inconsistent for me to crown them as the scariest team in the NFC right now. So I think it might be either the Eagles or the 49ers.
The team I'm putting some spec on, or the entity I'm putting spec on. Denver Broncos, man. It is a team. Broncos. We wrote them off. They didn't write back, though. And they're doing their thing now. They're coming together. They're almost – are they 500 now? 5-5? Something like that.
Close.
The Broncos started out looking like they're going to get them a nice little first pick of the draft. They got blown the fuck out almost historically. And They never wavered, Sean Payton looked like maybe the game had passed them by, but they weathered the storm, and now, even though it's not pretty, it's never pretty with them. They're kind of in the hunt. They beat 2 good teams in a row. So I gotta say the Broncos right now are saying you better
put some respect on my name.
That's a good point. I'm gonna go with Kyler Murray in his first game back. I heard a lot of smack getting talked about him in the run up to this game, and I gotta say he looked like a starting NFL quarterback to me. He was playing the Falcons, who I remind you made Will Levis look like the greatest quarterback in NFL history. But honestly, I kind of like Kyler, and even if they play their way out of a number 1 draft spot, which considering the Giants, I assume they definitely will do that, they will still get a pretty high pick. And if Kyler puts enough fire on tape, they could still trade him and move on back up if they really, really want to. Either way, a fan base deserves to feel that sense of hope when they get their best player back, and I think Kyler is definitely that when it comes to the Cardinals. Rehabbing an ACL is not a fun thing to do, but he did it. He came back looking exactly how I remember him. So this week, I'm going to put some respect on Kyler Murray's name.
Put some respect on my name.
All right. So that's it, man. You're up by like 4 points in the Flip 'em Pick 'em. We'll be back with the picks for the Week 11 games and some news and whatnot, and so stay tuned for that. But we appreciate y'all, as always. It's been another episode of SveNFL. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I know we're in the double digits. I know that means Thanksgiving's closer. I know that means the football season end is closer, but we're going to enjoy it while it's here, man. We appreciate y'all. It's been Jonathan Rollins.
Give me Sarah.
With SveNFL. Stay tuned. Peace.
Later, y'all.